Afternoon, everybody.
Oh, we're live. Afternoon. We shall wait till everybody's with us. I wonder, can we guess who's going to be first off the starting blocks today on this rainy, vile day? I thought spring had arrived the other day and it's not. Doors open, having a blow through, pouring down again. Glad I've not got a line full out. Has anybody joined us?
Hi, Russell.
Hiya, Russell, you're first. Well done, good boy. You need to turn, there's something beeping. Is that your phone or my phone? There's notifications going somewhere. So David's just checking his phone, so I don't know who's there at the moment. I gather Russell's there, obviously. Good for you, Russell, to be first up. You've been late the last few weeks. Got a fabulous one for you today. Have we got anybody else with us?
Nathan.
Hi, Nathan.
Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Sue Davis.
Hiya, Sue.
Gary Barlow.
Hi, Gary. Right, we're going to stay with our local...
Hiya, Charles.
Hiya, Charles. Hello, my darling. What I told you, by the way, on that message the other day, that's still top secret at the moment. Do not be repeating it or putting anything online.
Charles said you're looking very Roberto Cavalli. She won't know who that is, Charles.
I do know who Roberto Cavalli is, please. But please, I taught you what designers to wear.
God, yeah.
For God's sake, I've wore designer all my life. Right then, actually, I'm not Roberto Cavalli today, it's Ethel Austin.
Hiya,
It's
Nicola.
about the same. Which Nicola's just joined us?
My friend.
Oh, hello, Nicola, love. You all right? You sat there flicking through the Argos catalogue, love? Right then, we've got to keep, at the moment, I'm trying to keep with the low-calorie, low-fat, sugar-free desserts. Because as everybody's trying to lose weight, majority of my friends are all trying to lose weight on diets or whatever it is they're doing. And I can't make dinner and serve dinner without dessert afterwards. To me, it's not dinner unless there is a dessert. And there's only so much fresh fruit and yogurt and compotes that you can actually eat that, you know, you just become, that I'm so bored of it. So I like to have cake or something with dessert. And I'm going to do the most fabulous cake for you today, which is 100% sugar-free and 100% fat-free. So the calorie content of it is so low. If you're doing Slimming World, it's about 3 sins per slice, that's all. It's so low, it's unbelievable. And it's easy to make, but just tricky. It's quite easy, it's just tricky on the technicalities of it. Okay, so if David can let me know who else is there at the moment, in case there's anybody I need to speak to, because you need to have... Yeah, well, you can leave that for the moment, my darling.
No, I can do both.
If you can't, if you have 2, you need 2 7-inch sandwich tins, which I have used Fry Light Spray oil, and they're lined with silicone paper. You must line. Don't use them unlined. Even if they're non-stick ones, which these are, you've got to use the lined ones, okay? So you want 2 of those. You're going to need a mixer, be it a stand mixer or a handheld, okay? If you've got a handheld, it just takes longer. But into your mixer, we're going to start with... I have got 4 free-range eggs. Honestly, if you don't want to use free-range eggs, that's entirely up to you. Personally, I only like free-range eggs, and I buy my eggs from the farm. I won't buy them from supermarkets. I'm just a bit funny, like I won't buy milk from a supermarket unless it's the fat-free one that I've said before with the yellow label, which I can't say what the name is. Right, so you're going to use 4 eggs, and we're going to use the fake granulated sugar, okay, which the product name is on my Facebook page. I just can't use the product names on this.
Dean Michael Clark said, Jacqueline Smith hair, love it.
Oh, thank you, my darling. Just because I really couldn't be bothered with putting rollers in, so I've just put a brush through it and that was it. And that's the gospel truth.
Russell said you look like Kelly from Charlie's Angels.
Oh, thank you. That's so cute. I like
Do you wear
that.
Glasses, Ross?
At my age, shut up, you. Right, so we've got in here, there
Hiya,
is
Sam.
3 ounces of the calorie-free, 100% calorie-free granulated sugar, not the powdered sweetener. It can't be that. It must be the granulated one, which, fair enough, everybody's moaned to me and said, oh, it's so expensive. It is in the UK almost £5 or £5.50 for a small tub. It's worth it.
Good afternoon, Jackie.
Honestly, it's worth it. Miss G-Spot, afternoon,
Are you out of prison, love?
Afternoon, my darling. So, before we do any more hellos, I need to get this on because it takes about 8 to 10 minutes to actually start in the mixer. So we're going to put our 3 ounces of granulated calorie-free sugar into the mixer. And then we're going to put 4 free-range eggs, large
I think
eggs.
daffodils are in the way.
You don't have to actually see me cracking eggs into a mixer. It's,
Well,
you know, people can actually tell I'm cracking
You could be
eggs.
cracking anything.
I do like daffodils. I like any spring flower, and as you can tell, I have to do everything in excess.
Caitlin Ferrara said, is it vegan?
No, it's not, Caitlin, love. No, it's not.
Afternoon try pound, that's
Right
from
then.
Dean.
Onto your mixer, full speed, so it's going to get noisy. Okay, I've just broken a nail as well, so that's completely fine, shows that we land. So that's going to go in the mixer. That's going to take about 8 to 10 minutes to beat because it becomes 3 times the volume of what's gone in there, and I will show you when it's done. I've also pre-weighed out into this dish. I have got 2 ounces of corn flour, or in America cornstarch, 2 ounces of plain flour, all-purpose flour, and 2 ounces of self-raising flour. Weigh them out, free to what you're doing, okay? Into your eggs and sugar, you want about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Okay, just to give it flavour. So we've got a few minutes, I'll sieve this, and then while that's being cooked, we can... I always say there's no need to sieve flour. When you're using the 3 of them, and for this recipe, you must sift it 3 times. It's got to be well combined, and to create a lot of air and lightness into the flour. So, the easiest way is with a sieve. Because if there's one lump, this flour is going to be folded into a very aerated egg mixture, which is what makes the cake rise, which I'll explain more later. So while I'm doing this, any questions?
Sam Charles said this is awesome.
Sam Charles said what?
It's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Sam. Have you never watched live before, Sam?
Chaz Davis said you should do your own cooking YouTube channel on cooking and makeup and style.
I already have a YouTube cooking channel, darling. I ask everybody to subscribe to it. Although we film these shows live on here, they then go onto my YouTube channel, which is just Terri Fox. Click the subscribe button, and there's a lot of videos on there that are not done live. You will see other things on how to lay a table, or how to do this, how to do that. There's lots of. So we've sieved that 3 times.
Are you, James?
Okay.
James said, can you use canderel instead?
No. It cannot be canderel. It cannot be that powdered sweetener. It must be the granulated sugar, because the powdered stuff you can't bake with. It will only sweeten. You're creating a foam. Is the easiest way for me to explain this. This creates a foam in the mixer, which will be, it will virtually fill the mixer in the end. And the sugar and the eggs together is what makes that. With powdered stuff now.
Probably, Martin.
What, look?
I'm answering Martin's question. Martin said, is the nail in the mixer? I said, probably.
It's down here. This is for the lockdown. I'm having to do my own nails and everything, so I've just completely broke a nail. So I'm far from amused. What are you going to do? I can't stop it and start again. It's not Mary Berry, you know, where they can stop the filming and go away and have the nail done and come back.
Hi, Anthony. It's pissing down here as well, love, to be honest.
Not swear, my darling, please. Which Anthony said it's pouring down?
Anthony Briggs in Liverpool.
Hi, Anthony, love. I'll get rid of this, I don't need it now. So this is the tedious part of this. If you've got a hand mixer, it's obviously going to take longer and your arm starts to become tired. But you can't stop. It must be continuously on a high speed. 8 minutes minimum, 10 minutes is more to what it
Anthony also said, great to see cakes for diabetics. You don't see many people doing sugar-free cakes.
No, well, this is absolutely perfect if you're a diabetic as well, because I think the granulated sugar is suitable for diabetics because it isn't sugar. It's a natural plant substitute, and it's 100% calorie-free, which is the reason I like it. Again, I keep saying, very expensive. The trouble is, these manufacturers receive things and they latch onto a market and think, oh, I can charge what I want for it, which really annoys me. Instead of bringing the price down, we would sell more. That's my point of view anyway. But you're going to keep this going. So if you want to ask questions at the moment, because I can't do anything until that's beaten, I'm going to pour some coffee. Do you have any questions?
Billy Raymond said, what's your address? Because I'm going to send you a tin of paint for the back of that chair. What chair, love?
Which one, darling? All the chairs are distressed. Actually, the white ones...
This one, you mean?
They naturally distress themselves, the French ones.
They're meant to be like that.
I can't stand furniture that's not distressed or battered or rolled.
Hi, Richard. Hi, Sharon.
So keep an eye on it. But I said you can't really go wrong once it's in the mixer and it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And you won't believe how much volume this will actually make in the end.
Richard said coconut cream cake one day.
You know, it's not very dietary at the moment, my darling. That's why we are sticking to the low-calorie things. Because I know there's so many of you all on diets at the moment, and Jamie and I have done Seen the World. Jamie's done amazing. He's lost over a stone, which what's that in pounds?
How do I know?
How many pounds in stone?
No, 14.
It's 14, so you've lost 14 pounds. I've not quite lost a stone. Weight on me comes up a lot slower, but it's going. I've actually dropped 2 dress sizes, which is phenomenal for me. Well, this skirt in summer, I couldn't actually fit it last summer. It wouldn't go near me. It just wouldn't even go round. Now it's a bit loose, so I'm thrilled.
Dean from Spain said, what's the sugar equivalent in Spain?
Right, it depends on where in Spain you are, Dean. You would have to use an imported company. You can buy it online if you get the price, unless you live on the Costa del Sol or Benidorm, where you've got overseas Iceland. Iceland do sell it in Spain, okay? If not, use Amazon and buy it from Amazon how it's delivered. But there isn't a Spanish equivalent. I know there isn't, because I've actually asked friends of mine over there have looked, and we've done everywhere from Carrefour to Mercadona, everywhere, and it's an expensive product. So you may of course, again on the Costa del Sol we've got Holland and Barrett, so we've got health food stores, they may sell it, but I'm not too sure. So the best thing I can always say is if you can't get it in the country you're in, order it online because Amazon do sell it, and it is cheaper than the supermarkets for Amazon.
Caitlin said, does it come with tights?
It doesn't look, not today, no.
Good afternoon, Mr. Robley.
Good afternoon, Mr. Robley. How are you, my darling?
Can you do the same recipe but chocolate cake with cocoa powder?
Yes, if you want to up the calorific content, if you're not on a diet, make this recipe but use real sugar, okay? If you're not on a diet and you don't lose weight, great. If you want to turn it into a chocolate cake, when you've sifted the flour, sifted that 2 tablespoons of good cocoa powder, dark cocoa powder, and sift that with the flour, okay? So that combines. The only thing is with that, the cocoa powder will shoot the calorific content up a lot, okay? So I'm trying to keep that down by not having it as a chocolate cake.
Yes, Chaz, it is. Look.
Guess what, my love?
The scales.
What scales?
Behind you.
Those scales.
Old ones.
Yeah, I don't use them that often. I have them more to show them anything. I do use them when I'm weighing large amounts out, because obviously they do work. But I do love them. David bought them. I'd always wanted them, and a friend of mine still found them online and showed them to David, and David got them as a present a few years ago.
James, it's just from a local supermarket.
What's from a local supermarket?
He's asked what wine have we got in the fridge.
Oh, nothing expensive then. There's expensive champagne, but there isn't expensive wine. I've always said, honestly, I'm quite a Philistine where wine's concerned. I can't stand red wine. I hate red wine. To me, it's like drinking the warm vinegar. White wine, as long as it's ultra dry, I don't care if it's 75 cents for a Pantechnicon to be delivered. As long as it's dry, I'll drink it. Champagne, sorry, it has to be real champagne. I can't drink Cava, I can't drink, what's the other one everybody likes at the moment?
Prosecco.
Prosecco, I can't stand that. When I get the smell to my mouth, that's hideous. It's got to be good champagne. And I can't say the brands that I like. because I could have been staying on Facebook, but because this goes to my YouTube channel, Terri Fox on YouTube, I'm not allowed to use brand names on there.
Loving the island, Stephen said.
Which Stephen?
Stephen Anthony Lowy?
Yeah, hi Stephen, how are you, my darling? Yeah, the kitchen over got finished about a month or so ago.
Hiya, Kyle.
Is my Kyle there?
Yeah.
Oh, Anita! Lovely to have you with us. Not a roller today, Anita, just a brush. Let's keep an eye, we're nearly there.
Caitlin said, if you're not on a diet, can you use Easter eggs?
Oh, why not? You can load it with Easter eggs if you're not on a diet. This is the other reason why Dave and I are being so strict at the moment, because when Easter comes, this house is just ridiculous with chocolate. And I'm sorry, when it's a seasonal thing, I flatly refuse to diet. So when it comes to Easter, if I don't eat my body weight in chocolate Easter eggs in a week's period of time, I am really annoyed. So I will not diet with things like that.
Loving the daffodils, people are saying.
I love spring flowers. Spring flowers are just my favourite. I just can't do like one bunch with 6 bunches, you know. I've got to have everything in abundance and massive amounts. I can't stand, very pretty. I don't like fancy flowers. I've always liked country flowers. Flowers to me in your house, especially if your house is the style of our house, they should look like they've come from your garden or you've been out and picked them yourself. That's my personal feeling of flowers. I don't like tortured flowers in arrangements with branches and things like that. I like things to look natural and to look from the garden. So we're keeping an eye on that. I'd say about another 3 or 4 minutes.
Hiya, Mark.
Anything else?
Kyle's loving the monochrome and the matching glasses.
Oh, thank you, my darling. I didn't realise, and I'm not just saying, I didn't realise I'd put the matching glasses on. I just lifted the first pair up because I had that many different sets of glasses. Because for close-up things, I'm blind as a bat. And Mummy said to me this afternoon, she said, why don't you have contact lenses again? And I just can't. I can get them in, but I can't get them out. And I end up with a red raw eye and all this, so it's just easier to wear glasses. I think I might eventually have laser things in, which I think I'm bridging towards. With the amount of surgery I've had, I don't know why I'm trying to have laser surgery, I really don't. Right, we're almost there with this. Any other quick questions before we move on? This, as I said, once you've got the sugar substitute and the eggs together, it will foam and become white. It's the same principle as when you make an eggnog. It gets that foaminess to the whole thing, and it will triple in volume from those 4 eggs in the bottom and that little bit of sugar substitute. The bowl is sort of halfway full when you get to it. So I think we are just about right, and we are.
Jeez, I can hear myself speak now.
There we go. It's just, I wish they'd make a site. They can send a man to the moon, but they can't make a sound. And you know, 600 quid for a mixer, you would honestly think it'd be a bit more quiet.
That's what they are doing. They're old scales. Back from the 50s, are they? 50s,
well,
40s,
actually,
50s?
from the 70s.
70s, I was close. Only 20 years.
The sweet shop scales. Right, so into this.
Do we need to see that?
I'm going to show you.
Tilt it, and the cameraman will zoom in.
Let me grab another spoon. Right, I will show you to zoom in what you're going to end up with. It's a white, foamy mixture. Can you see that?
Yes, they can.
So that's what you've got. Now into this, do not, and I can't stress this enough, do not dump all the flour in one go. Tablespoon, and a little bit at a time, and then with a metal spoon, not a spatula, with a metal spoon, fold gently into a figure of 8 until you combine every bit of the flour. You don't want grains of flour running through it. And what we've got to do is we have to keep the air. If you actually start to mix it fast, you will reduce the air, because this cake doesn't rise particularly big. It's the air that's in it that is keeping its shape, okay? So the more you stir it, and if you do it at speed, you will knock all the air out of it.
Well, can't you put that on the mixer on a low setting?
No, because it's not folded. It must be folded so slowly and gently. If you put it back in the mixer, the weight of the flour will take the air out of the egg mixture. Okay.
And Marie Lewis said, "Love in the kitchen. You look younger with your hair and that style and those glasses on."
Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. That's very nice of you. My hair's a little bit dark for me at the moment, but it's lockdown, so what are you going to do? I just can't wait for April when we reopen the George Tavern and I can see friends and we can get on the Terps together. So you just keep going with the flour until you've combined every bit.
All good, thank you, Dean.
What's Dean asking?
How's your mum?
She's okay, she's very well, thank you for asking. So just have patience. You can sort of sit there and get a little bit bored and think, well, screw this.
Hi, James.
I'm just going to throw everything in, and it's not advisable because you will ruin the cake if you throw it in and you've not got a little bit of patience. Okay. Which James?
Atchison?
Yeah. Hi, James, love.
Why can't people have easy names that you can pronounce?
And unfortunately, this isn't a cake that you can make vegan because it must be real eggs. So I'm afraid if you're vegan and you're losing weight, you're scuppered.
Dean said he's at the George Tavern, 42 George Street, Oldham.
It is the George Tavern, 42 George Street, Oldham, the Oldham Fun Factory. And we're just itching to be open.
Hiya, Philip.
Actually, last little bit. So I didn't count that, so I think it was about 6. About 6 goes.
Phil, you brought enough jewellery yesterday, didn't you? You're wearing it all.
Who bought jewellery
Phil
yesterday?
Sprasson.
Who?
Phil Sprasson. Philip Sprasson.
What did you buy? Was Philip on the same jewellery channel as you?
On Mary's show.
There you go. I think Davey's bought me more jewellery. Not real jewellery, fake jewellery for work. Show jewellery. Okay, so take your 2 tins. Trying to get this as even an even amount as possible in each one.
Fanny said, can you have organic free-range eggs as a vegan?
Well, I don't know. I'm not vegan. No, because an egg's an egg, fan. Make sure you get every last bit with a little rubber spatula. Do not bang the tins, okay? Because I keep stressing, we're trying to keep the air inside the actual mixture. You've got 2. These are going to go into the oven now for 20 minutes at 160 fan oven, which is around gas mark 4. Okay? They'll go in there for 20 minutes. We will check them after about 15 with a skewer. You need a wooden skewer. If it comes out clean, it's cooked. Now, luckily, I made one earlier.
Philip, you must sit in the house with them all on at the same time.
Who
The amount you buy.
Does he buy an awful lot?
Well, last night he brought 2 necklaces, 2 rings and a mic ring.
Oh, well, there you go. Now, I actually thought those microphone rings looked lovely, but I thought they were stupid, because what if you swap your hands of your microphone, you'd have to have them both hands.
Well, I've got you one coming.
Oh, God, I hope not, because I don't like things like that.
It's tough.
Right,
Philip can buy it off me then.
Get those out. You need cooling racks for when they come in. Okay, so this is what you're going to end up with. As you can see, the cake doesn't rise to a huge level. It will only be the level of what you put in, because you're only baking really air. This is why it's so low calorie, okay? This cake also, as a sponge, it will freeze perfectly. With filling in it, it won't. Also, it's a cake that needs to be eaten within 24 to 48 hours. It won't last. Because there's no fat content, it will go very, very dry very, very quickly, okay? So we're going to keep this low calorie.
I only brought one, Philip. Afternoon, Francine.
Which
I'm
one?
Francine Shaw. Do
Yes.
you know anybody else called Francine?
Well, yeah, I know a few Francines.
Do
That's
you?
my cousin
I
Francine.
do. I know
Fran.
who she is. Hiya, Sharon.
So I'm using.
You're right, I do.
I'm you what?
Spoil you.
Oh yeah, well I deserve spoiling.
Oh, well.
Right, so in here I've got 50% fat-free creme fraiche. It's up to you if you want to put real cream in, you boosted up the calories, okay? But you can put whipped cream in if you want to. I'm not even adding jam because the jam is sugar and we'll add the calories to it as well, okay? So this is 50% creme fraiche. And I have pre-sweetened this again with the granulated sweetener. I put it in the night before and leave it because it's granulated, it needs to melt and it will just melt into it. Don't start stirring it if you're using the creme fraiche because you'll make it go running, okay? And I used about 3 tablespoons to go in that. And
That's true, Brooke.
It will stay quite thick. And obviously, again, don't overfill.
Brooke said you calm today. Not kicking off, I should wind you up.
Yeah, well, we don't need him to wind me up, Brooke. At all. I get wound up enough. Without idiotic things.
So what's that you're putting on? Did you say creme fraiche?
50% fat-free creme fraiche, so it keeps it low. And then I'm going to use raspberries. And I'm using fresh raspberries. If you want to use frozen, use frozen. The only trouble is with the frozen, they will defrost and melt and start to make it go very, very wet. Okay? So, you don't have to actually do a pattern. It's just a case of getting a layer of raspberries into it. So, any other questions while we popping these on?
Oh, should have Mardy cowed these said. No, there's no questions.
No question. Dean Sado's a Mardy cow, me?
Yeah.
How dare you know me so well, Dean? David's kick in life is actually to wind me up. David likes doing it.
I like to wind everybody up.
He likes to honestly he thinks sarcasm is funny, which I don't. And,
Yeah, easier, correct.
What's she saying?
Just as she comes on, she's filling something with cream.
Is she?
What about you?
Well, it's not. It's creme fraiche.
Creme
It's not
fraiche,
cream.
It's not vegan either.
And it's not vegan. I don't know whether you can even get vegan creme fraiche. I'm not too sure.
Well, if anyone knows, sure know.
Right, so I may as well use the rest of the raspberries up. That took 2 of those supermarket
2 little punnets,
Punnet
would you
things.
call them?
Okay.
Punnet.
But obviously the cake without having fat and things in isn't as moist as a normal cake, so you need something moist to go in the middle of it. Once I've got those on, I'm going to put a little bit of creme fraiche over the top, just solely to make it stick, so the top piece doesn't slide off.
Oh, Easier said you can buy vegan creme fraiche.
Oh, well, there you go then, love, you sorted. Top piece on.
Anytime, Brooke. Brooke said she's coming over one day just for cake. Hashtag I'm a fat bitch.
Look, that's fine, my darling.
We'll send a slice
Right,
through the
now
post.
that is basically virtually calorie free. The most calories you've got is in the creme fraiche. The rest of it, fat free, sugar free. The only thing is, I think it looks a bit naff and bare, so we are going to have a few calories. Just a
Kyle said it looks
tiny,
gorgeous.
a tiny sprinkle of icing sugar on the top, which isn't going to hurt anybody because it's so fine, but they don't do a calorie-free version of icing sugar, unfortunately. And there you go. You have got a vanilla cake with raspberries and creme fraiche, almost calorie-free. I shall pop this into the sink. They'll all go in the dishwasher afterwards anyway. I'll put that back in the fridge so it doesn't go off in the heat of the room. And there we go. There's your finished product. I'll also show you the one that comes out the oven when it comes out. But
Zoom in
that
for you there.
is your finished cake.
You are.
And I said, if you're doing Slimming World, I've actually worked out the sins of the cake without the creme fraiche. The cake on its own, without the creme fraiche, is around 3 sins per slice. Okay. The calorific content I've not worked out, unfortunately, but it's extremely low. And if you're really that way inclined to actually sit there and work out the calorific content of it, knock yourself out. But if I'm going to have it, it's low.
Chaz has got a question.
Go on, Chaz, love.
She's got had a vegan friend who used to make muffins using ghee.
Yeah.
I think they call it, if they...
Ghee is not vegan.
believe
Ghee
Indian cooking
is a
food.
form of butter.
And then she said, can this be a fat replacement in sponges?
I've never cooked with it, only savoury stuff. I've never baked with ghee. But as far as I know...
I thought ghee was like a butter that the Indians use on naan breads and that.
It's a lot of Indian cookery ghee. But as far as I know, it's not vegan friendly.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Maybe Miss Easy is watching, she'll tell you, because my friend Easy is vegan, so she's really well up on what is and what isn't. Except she doesn't cook. She gets her friend Fanny to come in and cook while she sits painting her nails.
She's lazy, that's why.
Oh, bone idle. Absolutely bone idle. So I'll get rid of these eggshells.
She don't get up till 3 either.
Oh no, she'll only just out of bed now. I mean, I don't get up till noon. People say that to me. People are amazed and I flatly refuse. I always remember John Collins in an interview years ago saying, I never rise before noon. Never call me before noon if you don't want to put me in a bad mood and all this. And I thought, well, if that makes you look that good, love, I'm not going to get up till noon. If I have to get up early to go somewhere, or if it's an appointment or something I'm doing that I must be up early, I'm in the foulest mood.
Yeah, ghee is a clarified butter and not vegan.
Yes, I didn't think it was. Who answered that? Let me rinse my hands.
There's a couple of people in. Well, Easy said it's not.
It's not.
It's butter.
I knew it wasn't. It is a clarified
Julian said
butter,
it's clarified butter.
You can. I have, when I've baked for Miss Easier, I use
eggs, lard.
I use I use a completely animal-free margarine. So I use that, and you can also bake with coconut oil. As long as it's the vegan one.
Someone's just asked about coconut. Could you use coconut oil? Yeah, Alison's asked that.
Oil adds a coconut flavour. You will have a coconut overtoning thing, because there was this big thing, wasn't there, when coconut oil became this big thing to cook with, and I was one of the idiots that latched onto it, as David will tell you, because I'm very easily led by things. So I actually clicked onto this coconut thing. David kept saying, everything tastes of coconut. The fried eggs taste of coconut. This tastes of coconut. So it does have that overtone. I don't mind, because I like coconut.
I don't want a
David
coconut
didn't
egg.
really like coconut flavoured eggs. So I'm not a big advocate of that. If you want to message me, I will tell you the vegan-friendly margarine that I use. I'm not allowed to say it again on this. It begins with a V in a green tub, as far as I'll go. And the best place to buy that, by the way, the cheapest, is Home Bargains in the UK, because they sell it in their chiller cabinets and it's cheaper than everywhere else. Do you want to try a piece of this, hon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy said she likes that coconut cake you make.
Yeah, well I do. When I make, if I bake for easier, I've adapted recipes that I've had for years, like my famous coconut cake, which I won't give the whole recipe away to. But when I've learned myself to adapt, I use an egg substitute or I use, you can use a vinegar compound with things which will make something rise because you've not got the eggs. So it's more faffing about, but if your friends don't eat it, I don't want to start doing one for us and one for them, and it just becomes ridiculous. So a lot of my friends, when they come to dinner, they don't realise that they're having a vegan cake. So, and it doesn't taste any different, I will be perfectly honest with you. The biggest thing I will say with vegan baking, it's dry. It can be very, very dry.
Like all vegan food, very
That's
dry.
The only.
Anthony, to answer your question, we've had about 35.
What?
How many houses / kitchens have you had since you've been together?
Since we've been together, well, I'll count them up.
It's about
Let me serve
35.
this. I think it is. I think David's about right.
You don't have to actually count them up.
Oh, I like to count them up, so I'm dead right.
I'll have another coffee as
There's a
well.
lot of people on
I ain't coming over there.
There's a lot of people.
Certainly not going on camera.
There's a lot of people on the internet at the moment trying to trip me up with
I'll have
things.
this mug.
No, I'm sorry, Dan.
I want the mug.
There's a lot of people trying to trip me up with things and what have you, and everything I say is always the truth. I don't see the point telling packs a lie. You only get tripped up with it. So I always like to tell the truth. So houses with David and I, of course, everybody knows, it's very well documented. We met in Benidorm. I already lived there. I just opened a bar 2 months before. And there's your coffee, my darling. And I shall bring in his cake. And there you are, I'll show you the piece of cake as well so you can see it when it's cut. So you can, on a diet, how can you say no to that? It's just unbelievable. It's just a case of being imaginative and not being boring when you're on a diet.
How many kitchens have you flooded?
So I've flooded a lot. I've flooded a lot. We have had, David moved in with me and I lived above the bars. That was 1, 2, 3. I have to move with my finger to town, you see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30. We had 14 houses in Spain. And since we've lived back in the UK, we have, it's not quite 30, David.
No,
14 in Spain, and in the UK we have had 1, 2,
about 7, is it?
3, 4, 5, 6, 6. We've had 6. So what's that? 14 and 6 is 21.
20.
20 houses. We've had 20 houses together. I myself have had over 35 houses. So, and that's not including being a child and the times mummy moved and different countries and from Australia to Spain to everywhere else in the world we live. You know, I was like a globetrotter by the time I was 5. Mummy used to think it was easier to move than redecorate, which is also my theory. I don't redecorate, I put the house up for sale. It's just easier. Right, I'll come and sit down because...
Easy, you said your vegan cakes are amazing.
Oh, well, I'm glad she likes me. She likes them and she approves. I mean, actually, I shouldn't have done that because I really want to stand with this and just check that I'm not overcooking it because I don't want one to come out and be burnt. Because, again, that will be another reason to slag me off on the...
Sorry, everyone. I'm just lowering my legs.
People's raison d'etre at the moment is to have a go at me on Facebook or whatever other medium they're on. Usually without saying my name, but it's blatantly obvious it's me they're referring to. Which I do have to say, from the pit of my stomach, I don't care. Okay? Never cared what people think. Ever. Really don't. So, and just to prove a fact as well, I am wearing a skirt today, because somebody said to me, do I only ever wear leggings? No, I've got a skirt on. I thought I'd have a change. Change as good as a rest. So, I'm just going to bob down to check this. When I did this kitchen, I should have had an oven raised up so you could have seen it coming out, but I didn't think. I was just adamant I didn't want another split level cooker. Were there any questions while I'm just checking?
No, Dean. I've not done my hair. I've got my pyjamas on.
Skewer, okay.
Because I've been carpet cleaning today in the bar.
Right, that's not,
so I'm not
quite
going on
done
camera.
because it's come out with a little bit, you can't see it, it's still stuck to it. So it needs a few more minutes, okay? So any other questions before we sit down and rattle on and carry on with ourselves?
No.
Well, what I will do is, I will announce my new website is up, not at full capacity. You can now research my homewares catalogue and, homewares catalogue, what we're talking about, my home website, nothing to do with cabaret. It's got the cooking shows on it. Eventually there will be a place to shop and buy things as well. That isn't up and running yet because I'm still researching things. And if you go onto the internet and go to www.fox...
It's www. By the way.
www.
Not 2 W's.
foxhomestyle.com. And if you go onto that, it's got the cookery shows, it's got past houses, it's got a blog, it's got how I do things, how I actually decorate the house, how to do's, the panelling that we did in the drawing room. You actually see David putting it on and all the rest of it. So everything's on there, and this website will build over the months. Okay, it will become bigger and bigger, and there's design consultations on it and everything. So one more time, that's www.foxhomestyle.com. Okay, so we're going to check that again.
Easy said, how many of them were in Bella Medina, she's saying, Bella Madna?
How many houses do we have actually in Benalmadena? We had in Benalmadena itself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 houses were in Benalmádena. Some of them were in Marbella, some of them were in Calahonda, various other areas.
Oh, you're cooking along, Michael, that's fab.
And then, which
Michael's put his sponge in the oven, Philip Hamilton.
Oh, wonderful.
Is it 170 in the oven, he said?
No, it's 160, darling, at fan.
160 fan.
160 fan. And keep your oven really up. My cooker is a bit fierce, okay? So that's why I'm not moving away from it. But it is one of those things that the temperature of the oven is so strict. If you put it too high, it will literally just burn the top and it'll be raw inside. Because again, you're not cooking any volume inside it, you're drying it out, to be honest with you. That's the easiest way to explain it.
Excuse me, Dean, I've got a full head of hair.
Who's saying you've not got a full head of hair? Language, please. I've asked you before. Which Dean?
Scotland. Elsa, can you buy from the website yet?
Not yet, my darling. That's coming. Right, this is done. Okay? So I've just checked the clock and that was virtually dead on 20 minutes. Okay? So it's one of those things that is going to cook exactly at the time. Take them out of the tins immediately. Do not let them sit in the tin. Use a butter knife or something just to release the edge slightly. Not yet, Kyle. You can't buy from the website yet because I'm researching artisan companies. Very shortly, the antique and vintage wares will be for sale. They're going on very, very shortly. Whole ranges of vintage Laura Ashley. Mostly throw pillows and scatter cushions and things like that. Then it will build to other stuff. I've got to stress, it's not going to be a shop. I'm not going to sell masses of different things, okay? It is only going to be things that I use in my house. I'm also not going to vindicate stores, only artisan companies, okay? Gently peel the paper back. There's one. And then we'll do the other one and I can have a sit down. Now because I've got 2 of these, obviously I'm not gonna fill 2 straight away.
But so, people are saying they can't find your website.
Right, one more time.
www.foxhomestyle.com.
I will put the link on my page later as well. So as I said, because I've got 2 of them, I'll cool this one completely and then I'll freeze it. If you're going to freeze it, put layers of parchment paper. You can actually use the discs once it's gone cold that were in the pan. Put layers of parchment between because it will stick, and then lots of saran wrap around it so it's airtight. But make sure it's stone cold before you freeze it. Okay? Well, it is there running because I actually did it myself this morning and looked for the website and found it straight away. So I do know it's there, but I'll put the link on my page so you can just click the link.
Right, Anthony's got a question. How old is your current pub? Have you researched the history and previous landlords?
Yes, I have.
Old pubs are fascinating.
Yes, I have researched the history of the George Tavern because, believe it or not, because I lived not very far from here as a child for a short time, I knew this pub. And the pub was originally called the Miners because we had a big coal mine in Oldham then. Unfortunately, that's gone, thank you, Margaret Thatcher. But we had a big coal mine, so it was the Miners. And then after the Miners, it became the Brewery Tavern. And then after the Brewery Tavern, it became the George Tavern. So it's had 3 names. And originally, there was a pub, not exactly on this site, but where sort of the end of our beer garden is. There was a pub there in the early 1800s. I've actually got the book on it, which tells you that there was an ale house that was in an old cottage, and then eventually around 18 something, I forget the date now, they built the beginning of this building, because this building over the years has been extended vastly. That's why the apartment upstairs is so higgledy-piggledy, and there's like, I like to say it's a wing. I always like to say I'm in the north wing and the south wing, because it really does feel like that, because there's a corridor runs the whole length of the house, and all the rooms are on one side. The only rooms on this side of the house are the kitchen, which was added at a much, much later date. This kitchen originally was added around, judging by the things I've found in it, in the 1950s, which gave the extension to downstairs of the pub. The original kitchen was what is the drawing room. So I do know most of the history of it, and it is quite fascinating. I like things that, but I don't just do it because it was a pub. I like to do that if it's an old house. David and I had it's on the website on past houses.
The website's not coming off.
We call it the Pink House, but I'll put the link on so everybody
It's not
stop
coming
panicking.
on mine either.
I researched a house once before that we lived in, knew who'd built it and who'd lived there and how many people had lived in it, and it was quite fascinating. So I do like to do things like that.
Easier one to know if it's Frank. Are you wearing Frank Usher?
No, I'm not, Dan. I'm wearing Ethel Austin.
Dean has a Frank Usher beaded duster coat.
Who's got a Frank Usher beaded duster
Scotland,
coat?
Dean.
Oh, Dean, I need to have that. You need to give it to me. I love a duster coat and I adore Frank Usher.
Kyle said, any ghosts? Apparently there's supposed to be, but
apparently there is supposed to be, but I've never witnessed one, and I'm a believer, a completely believer, and I always think a building of this age, and what it stood on and what the street used to be, because obviously now we're a detached building, we stand on our own, there's nothing else around us, apart from the bottom of the road there's some takeaway stores,
yeah, Ethel Austin going,
and Debenhams opposite, but I think a building of this age, it does fascinate me. I always think things like how many people have died in this building. They must have done. Somebody must have died in here, because it's you know, it's over 100 odd years old, 100 odd years of age. But I know all of the past landlords were, and there's a book you can buy, because I've just bought the same book on old pubs of Manchester and Ancoats, because my grandmother used to have pubs and I wanted the one with her in it, and it lists the landlords in the back of the book, so it's quite good. So when the new book comes out, David will be in that one, won't you, love?
I will.
You'll be in print, my darling.
I'll be in black and white.
So my friend Tom told me about this book. I didn't know anything about it. It was a customer of his that came in his pub and brought the book to him and told me, and I had to order it there and then.
I bet you did, Caitlin.
Well, she giggling.
She said she felt the willies up her when she was in the toilet. Spooky.
I bet you it is spooky. But there is. I don't like the cellar. I've got to be truthful. I won't go in the cellar unless David's with me. But I've got a thing about cellars. I don't like them. So I won't go down there on my own. And we've not got attics. We can't get into the attics. There's no attic space, which we're just about to have attic access put so we can have stairs to go up there. So I'm intrigued to see what's up there. But it's got to have some fascinating things, and I liked it when we did the renovation work, when we took walls down in here, in the kitchen. As everybody knows, there was where I'm sat now, I would have been inside a huge big brick built pantry. When we actually took the wall down, the pantry had been added after the kitchen, because behind the edge of the bricks where it met the wall was the original 1950s wallpaper, which was amazing, which we've actually took pieces off and I'm going to have framed. What's somebody asking? Somebody's asking how many rooms. 9, Norman. Yes, there's 9 rooms.
Craig Wild said.
It's big because I've got 2 living rooms, bedrooms. Another room is my dressing room, bathroom, separate loo, huge kitchen, and the study. So it's big.
Craig Wild said, I removed the 2 queens that had it in the 90s on about this pub. He worked up the road near Rochdale. My office was by Julie Goodyear's old house. She drank in the pub/hotel near hers, and she was telling me about the brewers might be worth a visit on about here. He said, I did just that, not been since, even when George had it before us.
Well,
but it's on his list to come round.
Be
nice to see you again.
It'd be lovely to see you, Craig. I didn't know the pub in the 90s. I knew the pub in the 60s when it was the Miners. When it became the Brewery Tavern, I lived either in London or I lived in America or whatever, and the latter end of the Brewery Tavern, which would have been sort of late 2000, around 7-8 years ago, then I started doing cabaret here once a month, so I knew the pub extremely well by then, and I knew the owners, which were friends of mine and still customers as well. At that point, but of course then George took over and I never came in when it was George's. I came in once, I did cabaret once when he had it, but I never came again. But we shall leave that where it remains. Anything else?
I think it's on Terry's page, Dean. Do you have any Do you or anyone you know have a copy of the Queen's Wedding to put on YouTube? It is on YouTube.
It is on YouTube, but it's broken into certain sections, and it doesn't come up as the Queen's Wedding because I've actually found it. The clips of me on it where I'm smashing the ceiling in and we're all out of our minds and carrying on at the end night. There's dozens of clips of that where people have actually taken that piece out because everybody said it was the funniest part of the whole thing, because the rest of it was dreadful if you think about it.
Get some work done, Andy.
So there are clips of that, but the whole thing is on there, and I just can't remember how I found it, to be honest and truthful. I think I might have found it by the director's name, which I'll put on my page later if you want. But it's Paul, and I can't think of his surname now. Because he was the producer of Sylvania Waters in Australia. So I think it might be under his name. But I did find it once with the whole thing on there. So it is on it, but where, I don't know. Because I know that other thing that I did in the 80s is on there as well, which is hideous. What was it called? It was for This England, and it was a documentary that there was 5 of us in it, about drag queens. And when I look back, it was absolutely fucking horrendous. But I was only very young, and anything anybody asked me to do on television, then I did it without sort of thinking about it and asking, you know, where's this going to end up. I just used to do things where now I'm a bit picky of what I actually do, because you don't know where it's going to end up, do you? So if you're going to bake the cake as well, make sure you send photographs and show me. And as I said, if you're going to do it and you're not on a diet, you can just use ordinary sugar, and then you keep it a fat-free, but your calorific content is going to be high because of the sugar, okay? But other than that, you know, put cream in it, put whatever you want in it. And it does make, it's also, the recipe is actually meant for a Swiss roll. It's a Swiss roll recipe. Because the Swiss roll rolls easier if there isn't fat in it. The fat, if you use a fat-based cake for a Swiss roll, it will split very, very easily, where this won't. Yeah, so that's that. So we've got any other questions while we sat here? Nobody asking any. That's
Mr.
really...
Robles said thank you for a lovely afternoon. He's off to give Pearl her afternoon tea.
Oh, good. Say hello to Pearl. Give her a kiss for me. Just honestly cannot wait. I really can't. I mean, and we're so lucky because we are in Oldham Pride this year. Even though we are not having anything in the street, there won't be any outside bars or outside stages. Most of Pride will be held on Pride Day in the George Tavern in our beer gardens, which we're wanting to run cabaret from literally opening the doors until closing. So if there's any female impersonators, drag queens, or anything that would like to give their time for free,
or normal singers,
yeah, for free to us to raise money for the George House Trust and for Oldham Pride, please send me a message. We would love to hear from you. We would like to have back-to-back cabaret all day and make it a really special day, because there was no Pride last year. We weren't allowed to have anything. So by the time we get this year, which is June the... what date is it? Dan?
July the 24th.
July, sorry, not June. July the 24th, everything will be open. We'll be back to no restrictions, God willing, touch wood. So we want as many artists that will please appear for free for us. And as you finish the show, have a bucket either on stage or not, and raise as much money as we can for, you know, a good cause. And we want to make it a really fun day, you know, because all our DJs are coming in. We're in the DJs on shifts, and so it'll be non-stop music and non-stop cabaret, which I think will be absolutely fabulous.
How long does Michael let the sponge call for?
Just keep touching it, darling. Put your hand on the top. It needs to be stone cold before you put any filling in it, obviously, because it will just melt through it. But it depends on how warm your house is. I think it takes about 25 minutes to 30 minutes to completely cool. Okay? Put it near an open window if you're brave to have the windows open. It'll cool it faster. Don't try cooling things in a fridge. It will make it go wet. Okay? And also will wreck your fridge by putting hot things inside it. You shouldn't do that.
24th of July, Kyle.
Yeah, it's the 24th. Are you coming, Anita? I had a feeling you might be here for some reason. But so far I've got fabulous artists, which I'm not saying who they are at the moment, that are going to appear for us, and some quite famous faces as well. So it's going to be a good day. So we want you to all troll along to the George Tavern, 42 George Street, Oldham, for our Oldham Pride event. So it's going to be a good year. I think everybody's going to make such the most of this year, because it's our first year out, isn't it, really? So I think any event is going to be good, and I think anybody's going to actually support any event going just for the fact of being able to go to something now.
Kyle's coming, he said.
It feels so long since we've been able to do anything like that, doesn't it? I mean, and it really does. I mean, when you think this Easter, we're going to be still in partial lockdown over Easter, no visiting or anything again, and it doesn't feel, I can't believe it's a whole year since I did the Easter baking show during lockdown last year. It's a whole year, and I just think it's incredible, absolutely incredible, and it seems to have sped by, but also I think it seems to have dragged. It feels eons ago since we were able to do things. So I am going to sign off. If there's no other questions or nobody's asking anything, I'll give you a couple of seconds if you want to do. But if you're not, I'm going to sign off.
24th of July, James.
And it's the 24th of July for Oldham Pride. Okay? And if anybody's looking to come to Oldham Pride and come to the George Tavern, 42 George Street, Oldham, we can recommend the 24/7 Hotel, which is just literally a walk away from the pub. And it's like a Best Western sort of thing, you know, cheap and cheerful, a big hotel, it's in walking distance, very cheap, and it's the 24/7 Hotel Oldham. So we will always recommend that because it's the nearest hotel. There isn't any other hotels. We don't have hotels in Oldham, unfortunately. If we do, I don't know about them. Or there are, obviously, but they're they're far too far away from us, so you'd have taxis and everything else, which is ridiculous. It's not a day out then, is it? So we do recommend that. So, if that's it, is there anything else I chicky-licky?
I'm saying thank you.
No, you're all welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I've had a really good time with you, and I always look forward to Wednesdays. So now I have to spend another week coming up with some concoction for next week. And I am going to try to still keep, right up to our Easter one, I will try to keep to the low calorie and low fat. Okay? Because I just think it's so good that you can have a fabulous dessert like that and your calorific content isn't there. You know, it's great. So I shall see you all soon. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you online. I'll put links to the website online, seeing you can't find it. And it's probably because it's new that it's not, but it pings up on mine immediately. So I shall see you all later. Say ta, David.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. See you soon. Love you with all my mouth.